Hey, I'm glad you're here today. Let's talk about something that almost everyone has experienced in some form. Meeting someone and thinking, yeah, definitely not my type. Maybe you didn't like their style, not their attitude. Or maybe they were just too plain, too loud, too quiet, too something. You put them in that mental box labeled not a romantic option. And that's totally normal. We all have that moment of judgment, even if we don't say it out loud. But love is strange. Attraction is unpredictable. And sometimes the person you once ignored, the one you swore you'd never even consider, ends up being the one who makes your heart skip a beat one random afternoon. There's something fascinating about that shift, how someone can move from just a friend or even definitely not interested to, wait, why do I suddenly notice this person? So today, let's explore that human moment, the way our mind categorizes people as romantic or not romantic, and how those boundaries can shift in surprising, emotional, and sometimes beautiful ways. Because before love begins, there's always that moment when your perspective changes without warning, and that moment is worth understanding. Let's start with a question. Have you ever met someone and instantly thought, nope, not my type? Maybe he was too nice, too safe, too available. Maybe he didn't give off that mysterious charm or bold confidence that drama-filled romance movies taught us to crave. Or maybe he lacked something you considered essential: style, presence, spark, that wow factor. There are some common traits people often label as deal breakers. One of them is the nice guy syndrome. He's kind, polite, helpful. He remembers your coffee order, asks if you got home safe, listens to your problems. He's so good that he doesn't feel like a romantic challenge. You think, he's sweet, but I don't feel that special excitement. He'd treat anyone this nicely. And in your mind, kindness without exclusivity becomes background noise. You categorize him as a good person, but not for me. Then there's the lack of cleanliness factor. It sounds superficial, but it matters deeply. A man who doesn't take care of his appearance, messy hair, old clothes, careless hygiene, can instantly be pushed out of the romantic category. Because romance is physical as well as emotional. A polished appearance signals self-respect. Neglect sends a different silent message. I don't care enough, even for myself. And when someone doesn't care for themselves, it becomes hard to feel excitement toward them. And then there's the social awareness factor. Some people simply don't read the room. They say things without filtering. They comment on appearances lightly, thinking it's a joke, but the words land heavy. They tease without sensitivity, assuming humor will cover it. But misunderstanding emotional boundaries is one of the fastest ways to be silently removed from someone's romantic list. Attraction is delicate. It thrives in emotional intelligence. Without that, interest fades before it even begins. So yes, it's natural to mentally sort people into categories. But here's where it gets interesting. Human hearts are not logical systems. They respond to moments, not spreadsheets. There are two powerful triggers that can completely change how you see someone: consistent attention and emotional gap. Let's talk about the first one, being pursued. Imagine someone you never seriously considered suddenly begins to show a clear, sincere interest in you. Not in a flashy, overwhelming way, but in a steady, respectful rhythm. They notice things about you others overlook. They're consistent. They're patient. They don't rush. At first, you might just find it flattering. You reply politely, thinking nothing of it. But days pass, conversations continue, and something starts to shift. You find yourself wondering what they're doing. You start expecting their messages. Without meaning to, you've begun to place emotional value on their presence. It's not that they became more attractive. It's that their consistent energy planted roots in your life. And roots slowly grow into attachment. Humans respond deeply to being chosen. Even if you didn't choose them at first, being genuinely wanted can awaken hidden curiosity. Why do they like me? What do they see? That question alone can turn the mind toward romance. Interest feeds on being seen. Sometimes, love begins simply because someone refused to disappear. Now let's move to the power of emotional gap, seeing a different side. There's something captivating about discovering a new layer in someone you thought you already understood. Maybe the silly guy who always made jokes suddenly handles a difficult situation with calm confidence. Maybe the quiet, awkward person speaks passionately about something they love, and their eyes light up in a way you've never seen before. Maybe the man who didn't pay much attention to his appearance one day shows up unexpectedly refined, and you find yourself staring just a bit longer than you intended. It's that moment when your brain says, wait, who is this? That moment cracks open a door in your perception. Suddenly, he's not just the person you labeled. He's someone layered, someone capable of surprising you. And surprise, when combined with emotional sincerity, can feel very close to attraction. This is why people say, I don't know what happened. I just started to like him. What happened was a shift of perception. The label you once placed on him no longer fit. He expanded beyond it. And your heart responded to that expansion. Now, while it's fascinating to see how someone once ignored can become suddenly compelling, it's also important to talk about how men behave when they see someone as outside their romantic circle. Because just as women mentally categorize, men do too, and their behavior reveals it. A man who sees someone as a potential partner behaves differently from a man who sees someone as simply one of the guys. If he gives you short, delayed messages with little emotional engagement, it may mean you're not on his emotional radar. If he speaks to you casually, without any hint of gentleness or awareness, treating you like just a neutral friend, it may not be rudeness. It may simply be lack of romantic interest. A man who feels romantic possibility adjusts his energy around a woman. His tone softens. He listens more. He chooses his words. He tries, even subtly, to present a particular version of himself. But when that carefulness is absent, and he speaks to you the same way he speaks to his male friends, unfiltered, casual, playful, without caution, it may be a sign that you are in his comfort circle, not his attraction circle. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Being in someone's comfort zone can still evolve into something more. Sometimes, being seen without pretense can be the foundation for deeper attraction later. But it is important to recognize these emotional signals so you're not misreading friendliness for interest. Now, let's zoom out and consider something bigger. Attraction isn't a fixed feeling. It is fluid, influenced by timing, environment, emotional state, and personal growth. Someone you weren't attracted to last year could become attractive today, not because they changed dramatically, but because you did. Your emotional needs might be different. Your definition of stability, kindness, or presence may have matured. In youth, we chase intensity. With growth, we crave emotional safety. So sometimes someone you once labeled as boring now feels like peace. And peace, once you've lived through emotional chaos, becomes deeply attractive. So what should you take from all of this? Don't rush your judgments. It's okay to have preferences. It's natural to have instant reactions. But keep a small door open in your perception. Someone you mentally dismissed might carry a depth you haven't seen yet. Attraction isn't always fireworks. Sometimes it's a quiet unfolding. Sometimes it's a slow warmth that builds without noise. If someone shows real care, consistency, and emotional awareness, don't ignore it just because it wasn't love at first glance. First glances are dramatic, but love that lasts is often discovered, not instantly recognized. Give people room to reveal their layers. And more importantly, give yourself permission to change your mind without guilt. Just because you didn't feel something at first doesn't mean you're not allowed to feel it later. In the end, love isn't about perfectly matching your initial type. It's about emotional alignment that grows over time. A person doesn't have to shine in the beginning to matter in the end. Sometimes, the ones who don't stand out immediately end up being the ones your heart quietly remembers when things get real. So stay open. Observe. Notice small gestures. Notice how someone behaves when no one is watching. Notice who checks on you without being asked. Notice who listens instead of waiting for their turn to speak. These details are not glamorous, but they are the foundation of real connection. And if one day you catch yourself smiling at a person you swore you'd never like, don't be confused. Just smile. Your heart noticed something your eyes hadn't yet seen. Thank you for sharing this moment with me. If this made you think, or maybe made you look at someone differently, even just a little, I'm happy. Stay gentle with your heart. Stay curious about people, and I'll meet you in the next one.